What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Line show where we're doing our best to bridge the gap between traditional investors and crypto, where we feel like crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years. And so, welcome. We're pumped to have you guys on. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here out in the beautiful country of Puerto Rico, just chilling, enjoying this amazing island, and absolutely excited to be on this amazing wealth building journey with all my entrepreneurial and real estate buddies and my crypto friends now that we've made. We've made a lot of new crypto friends, which is really cool to be on this journey with these guys and use crypto as a wealth creation tool and real estate down the road as a wealth preservation tool. And I'm just super excited to be in this, moment in time where we're seeing some massive capitulation inside our ecosystem, which is kind of the title of our show. So it'll be fun to dive in to some of the red candles that we're seeing today because it is bloody out there, guys.
It is. It is. And it's interesting to sit back and consider. I've been reading through a lot of content, some of the groups that we're in, and it's interesting to see some perspectives, and they vary so widely. Some people are saying that they're buying every single dip, and other people are saying they're out of the game until much lower. And one of the perspectives that I thought was really good, one of the guys had mentioned, he said, I thought that Ethereum was going to go down this last cycle well below $100. And so I stayed out. I think it hit $80 as the bottom, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, the
And
previous cycle. Yeah. That's right.
yeah. And so he said, I missed it and I started buying again at $250 and $300, which is, a fairly big difference. You're up a 2 or 3x from that bottom, that local bottom. And so everyone's got to decide what they're going to do with their bags right now, how you're going to manage those. And yeah, it's fascinating to watch. In fact, you guys post in the comments, what are you guys doing? I'm curious if you guys are staying out of the market right now, if you're buying. We want to know. We want to know. We're trying to nail down our strategies and our thought processes, and we appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say this, man. I feel strongly that we are closer to any kind of bottom. And this is like, mainly in our ecosystem. I don't know about Bitcoin. I don't know if Bitcoin can go back down to the 15K, but maybe it is closer to its bottom than it is to its, obviously than its top. We have a lot more upside potential no matter what, in my opinion, than especially more downside. We can have more downside, but the upside is exponentially better in the long term from where we're standing right now than the downside. If you're looking into 2024, 2025, I feel like we're in a really good place. And I could be wrong. We could have a lot more pain to come. But I like what I'm seeing.
Right. I agree. And I'm pretty comfy. I mean, I would love to be a master trader and understand the markets, where I feel very confident picking tops and bottoms and selling out of those and reaccumulating. But I think it goes back to knowing yourself, knowing where your strengths lie, and knowing how to operate according to those strengths and weaknesses. And I know without a doubt that I do not possess the ability to go and look at the market and decide when to sell out, when to reaccumulate. I've shot myself in the foot multiple times trying to do that. And so, for those of you that are there, good for you. For me, I feel pretty comfy dollar cost averaging in the rest of this year, and frankly, next year as well, and just picking up what I can and being satisfied with those positions. I know that I'm not going to catch the perfect bottom, and I'm not going to sell the perfect top. I'm just not that guy, unfortunately. And so once you, if you're like me, once you come to that place and that realization, then it's remarkable how much stress it takes out of the equation, and you just know your plan and how to operate for your own bags.
Yeah, it's a very simple plan when you have a mittance to self that you are not going to know where the bottom or the top is going to be. And you plan on basically DCAing over time. I mean, that's the best strategy. I mean, I would say that one could have. unless, like you said, if you're a master trader and you're great at charts and you can kind of project where the markets are going. I mean, we got some good TA guys in our ecosystem. We even have one that comes on our show once in a while here on Fridays on open mic day, Sprack Burger, if he's in the audience. And these guys have a pretty good feel of where stuff is going, even though they're not spot on all the time. But man, I don't like not knowing. I'd rather just have a nice, solid business plan put in place and execute on that business plan without emotion. So that way, like, no matter what happens, I'll be all right. Like I just like that, the comfort of the knowing when my DCAs are going to be, how I'm going to DCA, and having that strategy in place is just way better than trying to try to sell local tops and bottoms. And we see some of these guys doing it. There's one guy in our chat, one of the new chats we just joined. I mean, he sold all of his pulse position out on a 2X, and he's holding all stables. And he feels like it's going to go considerably lower. And he could be right. We could see another 50% drop from here. I don't know, whatever. And he's going to win massively huge if this happens. But I'm just not willing to make that bet for myself. And I'll DCA the 50% drop. That'd be nice. I'll catch that dip and buy it. But I'm not willing to make the gamble, man, that have sold on that 2X and then be like, oh, we're going to go down and, under sack price and I can rebuy back my position. Man, that's a heavy bet, guys. It's a really heavy bet. I'm not willing to do it. I would hate to be left behind in the dust. And so I'm willing to take the risk, I guess you would say, a risk of not picking up my position or doubling my position, I guess, and rather than getting left behind in the dust. I'll tell you what, getting left behind hurts a lot more than gathering your, maybe a 50 or 30% of your bag by trying to catch the dip perfectly. I'm just not willing to get left behind, man. I'm just not. I sleep better at night knowing that.
I do too. And once again, the biggest thing for me, I like to approach crypto in such a way that I'm not worrying about it. I'm not stressed out about it all the time. And I know for me that if I feel like I'm out of the game and I'm going to try to time things, for me, it's just really stressful. And so there's stressful. God. And so there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to play it. There's just difference of opinions. And that's one of the things that's so fascinating to me. We know a lot of really smart people in the ecosystems, and the opinions vary so widely as to assets that they like, where they think bottoms are, where they think tops are, where time frames are.
Yeah.
And so you've got to make your own bets and decide how you want to think about the market. And in the end of the day, some of the best advice I still think that we've gotten yet has just been that, a lot of these big players feel like the 4-year cycles are still intact. Some of them think like very specifically that way. Others a little bit less so, but I think that's a pretty strong general thought process. And so, we're here for the next 2 years. Theoretically, it's a year before the next Bitcoin halving. Call it a year and a half after that is the next top. And so we're chilling, we're accumulating and just hanging out.
I love that, man, because then I can live my life. I have a DCA plan in place. I don't have to watch the charts every day. Now, do I look at charts every day? Of course. I like to look at Pulse and where it's at to try to plan my DCA if I can. But I don't have to try to figure out, my portfolio buying the local bottom, selling the local top, and then coming back in and doing. And some of these guys, I mean, they're good at it. There are some guys who are really good at it. And like you, I'm not that guy. I'd rather go live my life, enjoy Puerto Rico, take my family down to the beach. I got to go house shopping this weekend to try to find a place to live so I can get all my ducks in a row, going back in AZ, grabbing the rest of the family, flying back here and getting really, established here and have a good time doing it and not stressing my portfolio while I'm in the process of living my life, because that's the most important thing that I feel like a lot of crypto guys forget. There's a life outside of the charts, and there's definitely a life outside of Twitter, guys. Twitter is toxic. It's horrible. I see some guys on there 24/7 absolutely stirring the mess up. I'm like, guys, stop. Stop stirring the mess. Go out there and live a life. You have something beyond outside of this. Crypto's a great wealth creation tool. Yes, I get it. Is it addictive? Oh yeah. I mean, me and Dane know. Like we love this stuff with a passion. But man, don't forget about your family. Like last night I made a point. I get real bad on with the YouTube, watching my shows just like this, these shows here, and then absorbing content, being on Twitter. I made it a point to put the phone down for like 2 hours, not look at the thing, which is, like, it's hard when you get addicted to this stuff, man, and play with my daughter. Like I took time and focused on playing with her, taking some toys, playing. That way my wife can go off and do her shower and do what she needs to do. And I had a great time playing with her, and it felt good not thinking about crypto or Twitter or if RH is tweeting. If I miss an RH tweet, so be it. I don't think in those 2 hours my portfolio would have died if I'd have missed an RH tweet. You know what I mean? And we're all so glued to this, and we forget about the more important things in our life, like our family and us, right? We need time for ourselves away from this. Go to the beach, have a walk. If you live in an area that you have a beach, and do a morning run on the beach. It's amazing, man. I can't tell you guys how phenomenal it is to watch the sun come up and do a morning run and get that adrenaline going. And so you do something outside of crypto a little bit, and I think the stress over the leaving of this bear market will kind of get lifted off your shoulders a little bit. I know it has for me, man. And knowing that I have that business plan in place is also like you had said earlier, it's a relief off of our shoulders that we have a plan. We're going to move forward. We're going to make it, and it's going to be phenomenal.
Yep, absolutely. And some great comments in here. Bruce says, I'm buying the dips. I like it.
How about the EHEX dip? I'm just curious.
Yeah, man.
A lot of
Yeah,
controversy.
seriously. I'm curious. Talk about that too in the comments, you guys. Are you comfy buying EHEX? Is that something that you're staying out of? We'd like to know. Yeah, Ted says got some short target prices, but also saving the bulk for a bigger dip. Corey and I got in real fast over the bridge, and we got some. We're in profit on I think all of those buys right now, which is
Those buys,
cool.
yes.
Yeah, I think on those early ones, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it dips further. If I didn't have those prices early, then I think that, frankly, I think I'd feel comfy. And in fact, we talk about this a lot in our mastermind. It's interesting to talk with people, and they say like, "Well, how much should we go and buy, and how much should we keep on the sidelines?" And it's interesting because it's different for everybody. Where you've got to find this balance where you feel comfy enough putting in, so that if price rips, that you had enough in that you're all right. But also you have enough on the sidelines that if you're wrong and price dips, that you can go and lower your cost basis. And where that is for everybody is different. And so I think that's a good way to think about it.
I love it. I had a certain sea creature or league I wanted to hit. I hit that league, and now I'm just going to DCA, like a very slow, methodical DCA, trying to catch maybe some local dips, and that's it. Like that means if I get left, I can't get left behind now.
Right. Your position's made, and I'm just hanging out. It'll be nice, man. I'm really looking forward to those single side stake pools, so we make some returns in the short term on the pulsex.
Oh,
I'm telling you, it is fascinating to me how a little bit of APR makes me feel comfy about everything else. Even when price is going down, it does a lot of mental gymnastics for me.
And I don't know why it is. It excites me more to get our node validator. As you guys might know, we're doing this whole Puerto Rico move thing, so I haven't spun on my node validator. But when I come back in July to Puerto Rico, I'm gonna fire up the node validator, and we're gonna stake all of our pulse. I don't know what it is about it, man. I am more excited for that than the single-sided staking. Even though the single-sided staking would probably have a higher APY, I would imagine it would. It's hard to say, but man, something about that node validator, bro. Like I crunched the numbers. on my pulse, and I'm like, oh my God, it just makes me so excited to know I'm going to have that amount of pulse coming in on a yearly basis. And I even cut the numbers in half. Like, what happens if it gets cut in half? It still excites the crap out of me, dude. I'm like, whoa, this is a lot of pulse. This is awesome. So I'm
Because
I'm really
what's the
stoked for that.
APR right now? Is it around
23,
20% right now? 23?
23%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well.
Oh,
It's fascinating. The little bit of APR can it's funny how it does so much mental gymnastics for me. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
that's because you're a yield degen.
I am, man. I love some passive income.
I've seen
The
some
real
of your
estate
moves
trained me
now,
that
and
way.
you've made some really aggressive moves, and thank God they've really played out in your favor. But you've done some aggressive moves and made some really good, great yield in this process. And I was like, oh my God, you killed it. It's awesome to see that transpire. So
That's cool, yeah. Yeah, Chris says he thinks that we're finally hitting the depression phase. I also like what I'm seeing.
me too.
Yeah, definitely DCing all the way. Yeah, do you guys and I'm curious too, do you guys think we see more downside, or have we essentially hit a double bottom and we're up for here? I think what do you think, Corey? I think that we could see some more downside. I mean, I think
We,
especially
I
over the
think
next 3 months.
I think that double bottom is just for a local top. Don't
Okay.
mean that we can't go below the double bottom 1 month from now, 2 months from now,
Right.
or whenever we reach the next local top, because we saw a lot of the sell pressure come in at a 2x, right? What if our next local top is a 1.5x, or maybe getting close to that 2x, which will be a higher low, right? If we go up on the macro and we go on a local top on a higher low, and then now that's our double bottom short term bull, and then we could come back down for more downside pressure in a month or two. I mean, you never know. You
Mhm.
never know.
You
It's
never know, right?
I don't know, man.
I just
But even if it goes down again, I don't think we'll see, and I could be wrong, but I don't think we'll see the pricing that we saw on that first couple of days on the bridge when the bridge opened up. I
right.
don't think we'll see that pricing, but I think obviously we could see lower. It's hard to say, man. And then now with EHEX, man, I'll tell you guys, I was uncertain before, and I was playing very Switzerland before because I just didn't know. But man, with this, we saw a massive red candle this morning versus EHEX to the PHEX chart. If you guys go in there and look at the chart for EHEX PHEX, there is just a massive red candle straight down. Looks like almost like a rug pull type wick. I mean, it's god awful, and it really scares me. I hope the people that are, for the people's sakes that have been playing the EHEX game, like Sami. Sami's been playing hard, man, in the EHEX game. He's been rolling all his PHEX into there. He's been rolling new dry powder into there, and I love some of these guys who are playing the game, and I would hate to see them get hurt. But I'm just getting more and more uncertain. My conviction is getting shaken on the EHEX panning out in the future. And it could be just only a couple sharks making those red candles. But we got to remember, it's sharks and whales that make up the charts for the most part, right? And this is why, we saw Pulse Bitcoin do what it did, because we had one whale who wrecked that chart and basically destroyed the project. It's the whales and sharks that make up the charts and make up the success and growth of any of these protocols, including Hex. And if the sharks are coming together and disagreeing on the EHEX narrative, well, then that's just how it's going to go. Me and you don't get to make that up. It just doesn't.
No.
I don't have the power. I don't have the financial capability to go in there and make that narrative what I want it to be. but some of these OGs can. And some of the OGs you guys were fighting on Twitter have that power. I'm telling you, we've hung out with them here in Puerto Rico, and they have a lot of power, a lot of economic energy to move around. And I'm not going to fight against them if they're going to go ahead and create these massive red candles. Well, then, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to keep allocating my new economic energy to the pulse chain side. I'm not going to EES my Ethereum stakes. Don't get me wrong there. There's still always a possibility of, it recovering and doing its thing. But for me, any new economic energy moving forward, my conviction has really been shaken seeing today's red candles. And it could be a blip on the chart. Who knows? But I know my downside versus upside potential. My upside potential is infinitely greater than Ethereum side. My Ethereum side, in my opinion, is only as good as my. If you think about it, your Ethereum hex potential is only good as your pulse chain side hex potential, but your downside is infinitely greater on the Ethereum side versus the pulse chain side. And I'm just not willing for me to place bets in that manner. New money, old money, whatever. Let it ride. Let it do its thing. I hope in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, we have some value over there with my stakes that are currently over there. But that's about it. That's the only bet for me in my portfolio. Everyone's got to do their own thing, and you got to come to your own conclusion. This is not financial advice. We're just two dudes on the internet speculating on our own portfolios. That is it. That is it. You got to come to your own conclusion. But that is the conclusion I'm coming to now. And I'm not willing to make any new bets on Ethereum whatsoever. I don't care how good that delta gets between P hex and E hex. I don't care, man, how good that delta gets. I am not willing to make the bet anymore. I'm just not.
I feel really comfy being over on Pulse Chain. That's where from the beginning, and in fact, you and I have talked about this from the beginning. We both said that we wanted our money over on Pulse Chain, and that's what we've done, and nothing has changed in that respect. And so I'm with you. I'm nervous for the guys that are buying EHEX. If it works out, all the
Great.
better. I'm I'm just not willing to
Yeah.
make that bet either. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you.
I refuse to fight against sharks and whales. I refuse to fight against these guys. I mean, when you're hanging out in Puerto Rico and you're sitting at a table of like all these sharks and whales, and they're all telling you the same thing, you don't fight against these guys. I just you don't do it.
Agreed.
You don't
And
do
even
it.
Richard tweeted
I
about an
saw that.
hour ago. Did you see that? He says
Yeah,
one hex. In fact, I'll go ahead and share my
like
screen.
1.3 or something. Or yeah, share it. Let's see it.
I'll pull this up.
And I mean, there's a part of me that really hopes that EHEX has a future. I would like to see my stakes have some value over there, but it's a greedy part of me, and I understand that's the greedy part of me. But maybe like if all the value end up transferring to PHEX, maybe that value would be the greater than having the sums of two. I don't know, I always got to tell myself I don't have the answer to these questions.
Right. Yeah, Richard says one hex on Pulse Chain is worth 1.29 hex on Ethereum. Looks like the market has chosen hex on Pulse Chain to be more valuable than hex on Ethereum. The first pick shows hex, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, so he's just giving a market update on the hexes. And it's interesting if we really want to like dig into the what does Richard mean with every little word in his tweets type of thing. I found this tweet interesting, and that it feels to me like he's tweeting as if the decision has already been made. Like he's not saying, well, Hex is currently more valuable on Pulse Chain. It feels like this is more finite in the tweet. Now maybe I'm digging into it too much, but if you consider, and I know there's a lot of people that feel differently, but if you consider like a Pulse and pulsex, there's a lot of liquidity in there. There's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of money that was sacrificed for both protocols. If the community could get behind just one hex, and the hex money went to one price chart, I mean, liquidity's thin in those pairs. The opportunity for Hex to perform really strongly this next cycle, it's there. It's just hard if people are split. And so, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
interested to see where things go.
it's uh, it's
Yep.
really, really tough, and and Richard can't just come straight out and go, "Hey guys,
Right.
this is what you should be doing," because then it's like that's expectations to profit from the work of others, and he's kind of like guiding you in your portfolio allocations. He can't do that. Like it's just
r-
not going to happen. Um,
Right.
Another cue that people have been saying is like Richard Hart followed Furu Finance, and Furu Finance is when one of the advocators is saying, "Hey guys, let's just like kind of let EHEX do what it's going to do, and then let's put all our new money into PHEX." And Richard Hart followed them, and so like, is that a cue? I don't know. Make your own decision. Yes.
Right. I think this is a good point by Mark. He says the best position is to have the biggest stake in the game so you can afford to take profits first. For the average Joe, just go to hold. And that's spot on. If you have $10 or $100 or even like $1,000 in the game, then that's awesome. You're just gonna need to become a master trader, which like almost nobody is. Or your better line of thinking is to buy what you can and be patient into this next market cycle. And theoretically, it very well could be 2025. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. But yeah, and to the point also with the bigger guys, the bigger the positions you can build when price is down. When price goes up, you don't have to wait forever to have a pretty large gain if you have big bags built up
Mm-hmm.
at good points in time.
Yeah, I mean, we just saw that with. I mean, people are speculating it's Rack and Rochelle's wallet. Who knows if it really is or not? I have no clue. But that's what the speculation was, and that was like on the two. I don't know, maybe 2.5x, like 2.5. I think it felt like we got close to three. I feel like there was like a wick that kind of hit like the point 3028 range. And then we saw the massive, the big money, the real big money, who has billions and billions and billions of pulse. They started selling off. They started selling a lot off, and I
Right.
feel like we're going to see a lot of that all throughout 2023, and definitely through the beginning of 24. Maybe, but we need that, guys. So here's the thing: we have a lot of sell pressure, or kind of like a sell wall, if you will, with these whales who own literally 20, 30, 40, 100 billion pulse, 100 billion pulse X. And so we need some of these guys to capitulate before we can get the price chart to go up. Am I getting spotty on my Wi-Fi? It looks like I'm a little
You're a
bit
little bit choppy,
spotty on my
but
Wi-Fi.
it's been all right. Your audio's been fine. Your video a
Okay,
little choppy, but it's been all right. Yeah, and especially if you spread out the
cool.
economic
So
energy,
we need it, guys. Yeah.
yeah, and just like you're saying, once some of that economic energy is spread out amongst more players, then you just have less and less people who can go and sell the price chart down so heavily.
Correct. Yep. That's the transfer of wealth, guys. The impatient pay the patient, but the impatient doesn't need to be patient because they sacrifice so much. They don't need to be patient. They made their money.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm not selling in the bear market. Yeah, I mean, I'm just hanging out. We're with you. I like it. Friend says they're buying. Sparky could not pass on Penny EHEX. Never thought we'd have that chance. I hope it works out. That's not something that we're willing to make bets on, but I hope it works out. I really do.
I do too, man. I got a lot of friends on this side of the coin that are doing this, and so like, okay, we'll see what happens. It's man, it's gonna be interesting to look back when we're in 2025 and to look back at this time and see what narratives played out.
Oh, it's gonna be fascinating to watch.
Mm,
Hmm. I like Ted's approach here. No matter your bag size, have 20 to 25% short-term dips Save 75% for bigger down moves. Where the limit orders. Yes, Richard, send the limit orders. We're
Mhm.
ready for those. But in reality, anything you put in now, $100, you'll thank yourself next year.
I
And
can agree
yeah,
with that.
spot on.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that. Corey's on. What's up, Corey? It's good to have you in the show, man. We
Or an
appreciate you
investor,
being
my
here.
man. When's some new music coming up, bro? When's the NFTs? Let's go. We'll have you back on the show to promote it.
Absolutely. Let's do that. Still in the bear. EHEX can be half a cent or lower. It
I think
can.
so.
It can. The question is, are you leaving opportunity cost on the table? Because if you're buying something like an EHEX that dips, is it going to run as hard as something like a pulsechain or pulsex or phex? Or some people are bullish on the incentive token. You got to make a determination for what you want with your own bags. It's just not a bet. Yeah, just not a bet I'm comfy making.
Not me anymore. I was a little indecisive before, like, now I'm like, man, I saw that red candle this morning, like, oh, no good. And then Richard Hart tweets right afterwards.
That's a
Oh,
good
okay.
point. Yeah. You can leave crumbs, but with the SEC looking at everything, you can't come out and say anything definite. hmm what's up? I think it's important to change our language when talking about hex. We should probably state we're buying T-shares. The smart guys will arb the gas costs for share rate on ETH first pulse.
Yes and no. So, yes, I agree that we are buying T shares, but I don't agree with the narrative. And I saw someone tweet this out this morning that, like, everyone's forgetting the power of the T share on Ethereum. It does not matter what the power of the T share does on Ethereum if there's no new buyers for Hex. The only
Right.
thing that makes the price go up and down on charts, guys, is buy and sell pressure. That's it. Nothing else. T shares don't matter. Nothing else matters in crypto but buy and sell pressure. Otherwise, everybody on Ethereum proof of work or Ethereum Fair, Hex would be doing amazing over there because of the T share. Well, it's not doing amazing over there because of the T share. It has the same mechanics. In fact, Hex over there is horrible. If you would have bought Hex after the fork, you would be down like 99% on your bag and you would have lost all your money, even though the T share was there. The only thing that matters, I don't care, period, in crypto is buyers and sellers. That's it. End of story. That is the only thing that matters. I love the T-share mechanic, Will C. Boots, or what I don't know how to pronounce your name right. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I love the T-share mechanic. I am staking Hex because of that reason. But I'm also hoping, or not hoping, I am speculating on new buyers to come in to the ecosystem for my Hex to still have value when that stake comes due. If I don't have new buyers, I am dead in the water.
Yep, agreed. Oh, and it's creative. I think it's we'll see about that.
We'll see about that. Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay.
That's
And he
creative. I
okay,
like
that's very that coincides with his comment.
right. And it'll be interesting. Does somebody come and arb this and keep them even? Richard even said himself where, he said that the market will decide. And he's tweeting that right now that we're seeing what the market is deciding. I don't know. Everybody can make their own bets. And this is an interesting one. There's a lot of people that feel this way. Where does it say? So DJ Bomber has a great comment. I think a lot of people feel this way. They're buying both hexes. The daddy will always win. I I I don't necessarily agree with this one. And you see it a lot on Twitter where they're like, oh, I'm still buying Hex on both chains. I hope it works out. I really do. And I think that it has a chance that it could.
It
That being
does.
said, Hex is going to be its second cycle, a second cycle coin, whereas Pulse and PulseX are going to both be in their first cycles. And most of the time, things with good product market fit that are simple or relatively simple to understand, like a DEX and an L1, things like that do really well in their first cycle compared to most things in their second cycle. So I've bet accordingly. For me, I've put a lot more money into Pulse and PulseX than I have into Hex. and I feel good about that bet. I think that's a strong
I
way to
love that
position,
bet.
and
Plus,
I feel comfortable about that. Now that's my bags. It doesn't mean it's right for everybody, and
right.
that's where you've got to make your own determination on how you feel about things. A lot of people think hex is still going to be the king, and if that's how you feel about it, then I like this. Then bet big and roll with your
But,
bet.
but we had so much time to bet big on Hex. Where were you betting big on Hex like the last freaking year when Hex was 1.7 cents and you would have got your copy? You would have got both hexes. Why was people not going heavy then? I went heavy. I had plenty of time to build my hex bag, if you will, and there was no pulse or pulsex to buy. I didn't have the opportunity to buy that, and so like I went heavy on hex then when that was the only thing to go heavy in, and then now we have pulse and pulsex. So guess where my new money is going?
Same. Yeah. And K Crypto, same thinking as us. Yeah. Hex isn't the first cycle anymore. Pulse and Pulsex are. Yeah, I think, and once again, I think that when you're looking, so, or at least this is how I'm thinking about things. So when you're looking at any investment for yourself, I want to look and see two things. The first is, what is the likelihood that I get my money back?
I
Well,
like
I
that.
feel pretty confident in the RH ecosystem. That's where I place my bets for the majority of my holdings because I feel really comfy about that. Not only that, but I feel even more comfy about betting on his stuff that's in its first cycle because historically those things perform better. And then second is, what are the gain potential? What's that on top of getting your money back? And I think that Hex, if everybody got behind one of the hexes, in my opinion, P hex, if everybody were able to get behind that, I think that it does have the potential that it could do some pretty parabolic
Yeah, like 100x.
moves. This,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it could. I think it might even do a couple hundred X's, like from a
Mm-hmm.
penny. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. But with buy pressure split, I think that's tough where you have two different hexes. And so I feel really comfortable about Pulse and Pulsex and that they're both first cycle and they're two different things. And so that's where I bet most of my money. And we'll see. Nobody knows. And anybody that acts very sure about any of this,
It's
nobody
full of
knows. It's
shit. Yeah.
unknowable.
Yeah, we could
Yeah.
be they could be totally wrong, and Hex maybe Hex does a 500x and Pulsex only do a 50x. I mean, I like that could happen. I wouldn't place bets on that, but that could happen.
Right. Right. No, it's interesting, and I find these shows so fascinating because even the comments, like people vary on how they're building things, even in the Richard Hart ecosystem. And so you've got to determine if you want to hedge a certain way, what you want to do. But I like all the comments. Yeah, everybody is kind of coming up with their own thinking, their own strategy, and then building accordingly. And and we've talked. I talk about this. Well, we talk about this, both of us in our mastermind, where some of our guys say, like, well, what should I be buying? And the answer is always, like, we don't know. I wish we did. Now I know what I feel more confident about, and we share that openly on our show and our mastermind. But in the end of the day, you've got to make a determination on what you believe in, and you've got to be able to hold through the dips. Unless you can somehow
Uh,
game the system and become a master trader, which we don't advocate here. But man, it's
yeah,
it's uh it's it's gonna be wild.
I'll tell you, I'm always learning in this game, and I'll tell you one lesson I've learned moving forward is that I'm very focused on the generals I bet on, and so I let my focus kind of like get out of whack a little bit in this during the bear market, and maybe I was like an 80% RH maxi and I was doing like 20% in all this other gambling type protocols. Where now my I've learned that really place more on the generals I'm willing to bet on. So like now I'm like 90 to 95% an RH maxi, and I'm only willing to allocate maybe 5 to 10, and I'm going to be very strategic even with that holdings where I allocate that money to. And so that's one lesson I've really learned over this last like 10 months. I've gotten, there was one protocol that, I was really excited about. It was a gamble on a brand new whale that I had no clue about, and he was the one controlling the ecosystem. And unfortunately, he just capitulated and he absolutely demolished in my opinion, he demolished the whole entire ecosystem, demolished it, crushed it. Like it might have a recovery. I think it could have a recovery if like community gets around it and kind of does their campfire recovery, which they're trying to do out of it. But like my faith long term in the protocol is gone. So like
Gone.
even any kind of recovery that will get taken out on that protocol, I'll probably end up taking profits and I'm exiting. And I've learned to really, when I vet my generals to bet on and who I really get my conviction with, stand behind that and make sure I'm allocating my monies on that and not to have so much shiny object syndrome. And it's so easy in crypto to have shiny object syndrome. It really is, especially if the assets that you're in are not pumping. You're like, man, it's so boring. I'm DCAing. I keep DCAing. It keeps dipping. Like, and then you're looking over here and Pepe's doing a 100x. You're like, oh, well, crap. Pepe's doing 100x today. Well, why is my money not over there? Crap. Right. And we get this like, and so like I've learned to keep the blinders on more. I've learned to keep the blinders on just a little bit more. It don't have to be 100%. I get it. But it needs to be a little bit more than I was doing before because I got a little bit, in my opinion, too outside of the box this last bear market. So,
and I think shout out to Sami. I'm pretty sure this was a Sami video, but he did a great video and gave a lot of perspective that I thought was really solid. Where he said, like imagine building your bags now, and in a year or a year and a half or even 2 years, you're up a 30x or 40x, and your buddy that knows nothing about crypto buys the next doggy coin, and they're up the 30 or 40x in a
yeah,
month.
dude.
And you're like, MFer, I've been here
Like,
2 years,
ah!
and you got all this. And then Sami says, make sure that you're not the person to then rotate your funds from your solid stuff to the dog crap at the top for it to all plummet down. And I
Yeah,
thought that was
it's hard. It's
that was
hard because that's
really
kind of what
solid.
happened with me with this other ecosystem, and that other ecosystem turned into complete dog shit. Right? I'm just like,
Right.
I'm like, why am I betting on this? You have to bet on whoever kind of like the OA or whales are in the ecosystem. You really do. Those are the guys who control what's going to happen with that ecosystem. And like, why am I betting on this moron who I know nothing about, and he controls the whole ecosystem, and people already say he has a track record of doing bad? Why am I placing bets in this guy? Just because I like the narrative and I like the community beyond that, and I like all these other things. I got to remember, man, it needs to kind of check mark all the boxes that we always talk about, that makes a good, solid project. And that one didn't. And, we got punished for it.
Yeah. I respect the comment, DJ Bomber. I think this is the wrong way to think about it. I really do. So I don't know if you guys have seen. We'll see if I can make a good analogy out of this. If maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but I'll do my best. So recently, there is about half of the state of Oregon trying to be annexed over into Idaho because they're tired of the politics there. They're tired of the lack of control that they have over their property and over their finances and how things are being controlled. So they're trying to be annexed over into Idaho. Now, I'm not bringing that up. I don't live in either of those places. Those guys do whatever they're going to do. But I think it's an interesting analogy. Imagine being able to take your house, if you lived in Oregon, for instance, and rather than getting annexed into Idaho, you could take a copy of it. You could copy your house for free. You could stick it in a new location where you controlled the politics and you controlled the tax implications there, and you controlled how the rentals work and how businesses were ran. You controlled all of the levers.
Beautiful.
Of course you would go over there. You say, F this other house. This house is the exact same thing, and I can control everything here. Of course you would say, F this old house. This copy is infinitely better. And so I just think it's so wrong to think about it like, oh, is Richard going to allow a copy? Yeah, of course. If it were me, yeah, absolutely. because I control the levers there. I am able to call the shots. And if it's my business, and make no mistake about it, Pulse Chain, and Hex are Richard's businesses. Now you can
Yes.
think about them however you want, but these are his. These are his babies. These are his creations. And he wants to find the best places where he can water those seeds to make them grow. And the best way to do that is in environments where you control the game. And so,
So beautiful.
absolutely, I think Richard is totally cool with things going much better on Pulse over and then compared to Ethereum.
And DJ Bomber, I'll add one more element to this. Remember, Richard said hex on pulse chain is the real hex, and that's hex. There's a reason why ehex is called ehex. You got ehex now, and you have just hex. If you ask me, ehex is the copy now.
Agreed. I agree 100%. But yeah, Oliver makes a great point. So you got to determine how to make your bets. Yeah, Corey and I haven't totally given the middle finger to EHEX.
No,
We
not
still
at
have
all.
stakes over there. And
Don't
so
get us
like, yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Yeah.
if it goes great, we have our bets made over there, but we got a copy too. And so we have the same tokens over on Pulse Chain and have added over there. And like we're playing a little bit of all of it because once again, we know that we just don't know. And we're comfortable admitting that. And that's fine. And so we placed our bets in such a way that if everything, if all of this stuff works out, then we're gonna be great.
Yep. 100%.
This is a great question. Is PHUX coming out this week with Buck and his team? Do you know?
He's got a scheduled Twitter space coming up, talking about
Saw that.
he gives more. Oh, what was it? The name of the space is "I give more than Oprah" or something crazy.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's gonna be good. I think he's gonna discuss then on how I bet you anything's gonna be how the Fux token will be airdropped and given out to the populace, and then he's probably gonna also discuss. I know Famous was like it was not far out. I want to say the last time he did a space, it was like 3 weeks to a month away then, and that was like a week or two ago. So like, I feel like we're getting close. And obviously he's launching protocols. He launched eFiat. That's going. He's taking some of the what do we call it, the handcuffs off the protocol so it could start to now breathe and do what it needs to do. And then so yeah, I would anticipate Fiat and Fame probably to launch roughly in the same time frame, and it'd be nice if we even had the Fox protocol. And I'll tell you, man, I'm more bullish. I know everyone's talking about all the 9-inch. The 9-inch is like the biggest thing right now. Like everyone's loving 9-inch and the $10 million sacrifice. Okay, but it's just another DEX that you stake and do liquidity providing in, and you have an incentive token. Well, I got that. It's called pulsex. What Buck is doing is different. That's a fork of balancer. It's not in competition to pulsex, in my opinion. It's a whole nother. It's got a whole nother game theory behind it. And so, if I'm going to make a second bet on a DEX, for me, man, I like Buck and I like what he's building. I feel like he understands markets. He's my, third favorite dude in crypto. I know. I think we had this conversation yesterday, Dane. He's coming up on your second. And so, like for me, I'm willing to place my bets with him. And what I'm going to do is why all you guys are getting your free airdrops for fucks. I got a little money on the side. I'll get my free airdrop. I'm not. Well, maybe I will. Nah, I'm not going to dump it just in case. But a lot of you guys will. And I'm going to be the bottom buyer of that token. So that money, instead of sacrificing for 9-inch, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it the fucks. I'm going to give it the PHUX. And I'm going to buy that bottom or close to the bottom. I'll never pick the bottom, but I'll see it drop 70%, 80%. I'm going to come in and scoop up a bag. And man, you want to talk about a potential token that could maybe do 1,000x? When you buy the lows off a free airdrop when everyone gets free money and everyone dumps it, and you buy that low. I like the way that sounds.
Could be juicy. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. Yeah, we're big on the PH team. We like what they're
Yeah.
building over
So you
there.
guys have fun with 9-inch.
Yeah,
Maybe 9-inch is
agreed.
great. I hope it is great. And maybe after it launches, if I see some kind of juicy dip, who knows? Maybe I'll end up buying a small little bag. I'm not saying I'm anti 9-inch, but I love my pulsex. I want to keep building that bag. And if I'm gonna bet on a second Dex, man, it's buck.
Agreed. Yeah. See, and this is the point, DJ Bomber. So P hex holders are the only ones dumping E hex. Why aren't the E hex guys dumping the P hex? It's because they believe in the P hex, and they don't have capital to buy it up right now. That's why there's a disparity between the two. And so, like you make your bets accordingly. We're here trying to help. You make your own bets, and that's probably a good place to let that one go. I think
Let
we're
it go.
probably
And just remember, guys, don't swim against the whales and sharks. Swim with them. That's all. Make your life easy. It doesn't have to be difficult. And
right.
uh, and I say that because, like I said, me and Dane were hanging out with a bunch of these whales and sharks here in Puerto Rico, and they all believe in one narrative. And I'm not saying I believe in that narrative, but I'm not going to bet against them. I'll tell you that. It's just
Right, agreed.
I'm going to bet against them.
Connor. so we like Westcott, man. Yeah,
I
it's
love
interesting.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love Westcott. Westcott's dope. He was the mid bear market cycle top, and then Connor says, where'd it go? Let me find this. He says, let's put it this way: music videos were the top of Hex last bull. How do you think I feel about them again for Pulse? We wait longer.
huh?
That's an
Damn it,
interesting
Westcott.
theory.
What are you doing,
Stop.
broski?
Oh man. Cool. This has been good today. Seriously, appreciate you guys' comments. Appreciate you jumping in.
Yeah,
We're
good little
here for the
turnout today too.
long haul. So we're here to try to help. And I think it's gonna be wild. What was this last comment? Let's see. What I like about RH, he won't let 9-inch decks outbeat him. Absolutely. So I'm big on competition, man. I like competition a lot because it forces everybody to be better. So I think it's cool to have other dexes like what Buck's creating and what 9-inch is creating because there's no
Absolutely.
way that Richard, with $1.7 billion on the sidelines, who knows what he could do with that money, is going to have these other dexes outperform on Pulse. I think there is almost a 0% chance of that, and I'm cool with it. So, yeah, bring on the competition. I think it'll be great. Awesome. Cool.
Absolutely.
All right. Um,
Got Randy
he
on.
says, yeah, what's up, Randy? Good to see you. Westcott, just don't go dancing on coffins, right? Or do, then we'll know to sell. I'll know this time.
Yeah, give us some top signals. I need some good buy signals though. Like, can you get what do we do for buy signals? It's just I guess all the whining and crying,
All the whining. Yeah,
all
the
the whining
crying.
and crying, and people calling Richard Hart a scammer. I guess that's a buy signal. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
you got to try to figure these things out, and it's like, where's the bottom? How do we see, without reading charts?
Right. Well, cool, guys. Appreciate you jumping in. Jump in tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be fun. Tomorrow's open mic Friday. We love to hear from you guys. If you have a strong opinion one way or another on some of these topics, we'd love to hear it. If there's things we're wrong on, we want to refine our thought processes and investment thesis. And that's the only way to really refine those is to have people that are contrarian come and talk about them. So we welcome open discourse. If you want to jump on tomorrow, we're easy. We welcome everybody, and with that, we'll catch you guys tomorrow.
See you guys.